Okay, so we're going to bow to the Buddha 3 times. First bow, second bow, bow. Okay, so now I'm going to administer these 3 refuges and 5 precepts. Before I start, any one of you never taken 3 refuges, 3 refuges before? Or taken? Who never taken 8 precepts before? Okay, it's alright. So no worries, there's this book here. So I'm going to chant something, then you're going to repeat. Okay, who never chanted Pali before? Okay, also never. Okay, then I'll do the verse by verse version. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll chant one line, this Namo Tassa, then you all will chant 3 times. Yeah? Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. 3 refuges. I'll chant one line and you can follow after me. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi. Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Gamanang nitritang. And you all will just say Amapante. Okay, this means the end of the 3 refuges and now with the 8 precepts. Okay, you don't have to chant the Ahang Pante, all those. So it's just straight away with the Panatipata. So I chant one line and you follow after me. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Brahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musāvāda veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapamadatthāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. So the next page, Vikala Bhojana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Okay, this one is very long. Naja Gita Vadita Visuka Datsana Mala Gandha Vilepana Tharana Mandhana Vipusanathana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Okay, then the last one, Ucca Sayana Maha Sayana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Imani Atha Sikkhapadani Samadhiyami Silena Sugatiyanti Silena Bhoga Sampada Silena Nibutiyanti Tasma Silang Visodhaye Se Sadhu Sadhu. Okay, so basically now it's to explain what is this so-called ceremony about, because after administering the precepts or the refuge and the precept, it's my duty to explain the significance. Okay, so for a Buddhist or even a retreat participant, the refuges, the 3 refuges, is more like the goal, the objective, our anchor point. Yeah, so whatever we do, it's for the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, for the triple gem, for the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. So we are not coming for this retreat to, different people have different agendas. Some people come, okay, I want to have more good luck, more good fortune, or they come here and all kinds of reasons. Yeah, but ultimately we are trying to cultivate and improve wholesome spiritual qualities. So these are represented by the triple gems. So the Buddha represents the founder of Buddhism, the religion. Anybody do not know the life story of the Buddha one? Everybody know. Okay, so you all know the Buddha's life story. What was he striving for? Yeah, so his whole life is more or less like striving to seek the truth and teach the truth. So what is this truth that we are trying to figure out? Yeah, so this truth is actually the 4 Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. 4 Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. So as the disciples, our way of honoring the Buddha is to practice these 4 Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, to honor the Buddha and the Dhamma. And the Sangha are the group of realized practitioners, people who have realized the truth to certain degrees. Yeah, so I'm just a representative only. I wear the robe means conventional Sangha. Conventional Sangha. Yeah, not everybody wear the robe means is realized Sangha. It's conventional, because nobody know who has attained or not attained, right? So this is just conventional representation. Conventional representation. So what we are doing now, the triple gem, is to so-called understand the significance of how to really train. How to train. So that's why we have this chanting book. We look at page 39. Okay, so these so-called precepts, the 8 precepts, are basically the training rules that is in line with the Noble Eightfold Path. Noble Eightfold Path. So in the Noble Eightfold Path, we have this thing called the right speech, right action, right livelihood. So all these precepts are training towards that. Okay, so for the first one, I undertake the training rule to abstain from taking life. So this is not killing. Not killing. So this is part of right action. Right action. Okay, so any of the precept must actually come with right intention. Right intention. So we observe this precept must be in line with right understanding and right thought. If we do not have right understanding and right thought, any coma patient can take precepts. Any coma patient can take millions of precepts. No problem to them. They just lie down on it. And they cannot speak, they cannot open their eyes, they can't do anything. So you give them 1 million precepts, no problem. So that's not the idea. And that's not the idea. The idea of observing these precepts is to train our mind. So before we commit to any action, we need to think through. We need to think through. Because down here there's lots of insects, lots of bugs. So we sweep the floor, we walk, we don't want to swipe away certain bugs. We need to be very mindful. We need to be very mindful. Right? So precept, so-called precept breaking, require a few conditions, a few criteria. If you, let's say, accidentally step on the ant, still doesn't count as killing. You don't break the precept of killing. So you need to fulfill a few criteria. First is intention. That means you want to kill the certain being. There must be intention, number 1. Then number 2, your perception. You perceive that object as a real living being. It's not a computer game, it's not a digital figure, it's not AI. Right? So some people, maybe they kill in the video game, so that doesn't count. Right? So you must know it's a real living being. So that's perception. And number 3, the object. That being must be a real living being. So if, let's say, in the dark, you cannot see, let's say in the dark, the lights are off, and let's say you perceive this object as, I don't know, a snake or something, right? But it's actually not a snake, it's a book, because it's dark. So you want to kill it. Let's say you take a stick and you whack it. Then you realize, oh, it's not a snake, it's a book. Yeah, but even though you have the intention, you try to hit it, but the object is not a snake. So somehow you didn't break the precept, okay? So that's the third criteria, you need the object. Then the 4th criteria, you must execute. That means you must really take a weapon, or you order somebody to kill for you. So that is execution. And the 5th criteria is the being must die. The being must die. So if injured, no count. But if the being die, then it's considered you break the precept. So to make things simple, check your intention first. If your intention is we are training to have this loving kindness, to be friendly, to be kind, then there's no intention to kill, then that's the main goal. You don't want to confuse yourself. Okay, then the next one is this thing called refrain from oh, they forgot to print this stealing. After taking life, then straight away in celibacy already. Okay, so the chant do include stealing. Adina dana means no stealing. Same thing. Stealing is to refrain from stealing means to reduce our greed. We want this, we want that, so we reduce greed, right? So the same thing, the 5 criteria, we do not have the intention to take what is not ours. Okay, then the next one. Take the training rule to abstain from incelibacy. Okay, so for the usual 5 precepts, it's to refrain from sexual misconduct. That means if a person is married, they don't have an affair with another person, or even if a person is not married, they shouldn't have an affair with another person who is engaged. So that is the rule. But for retreat, it's more like a monastic setting, a temples, lifestyle. So no sexual activity at all. So that's why the male and the female participants are separated. Okay, then this one, the 4th one. Abstain from false speech. False speech. Okay, so basically it's to refrain from telling lies. Telling lies. But in the Noble Eightfold Path, the right speech contains 4 kinds of speech. 4 kinds of speech. Refrain from telling lies, refrain from harsh speech, idle gossip, divisive speech. So total 4. This is to make your mind at peace. Make your mind at peace. So some people say, I only see the thing, refrain from telling lies only. That means I still can gossip, I still can say harsh words, I still can create divisive speech. But that's not the point. The whole idea, all of them lead to undhamma, non-dhammic. That means you don't tune in line with peace. Right? So a person can be telling the truth, but let's say they idle gossip, they don't say anything beneficial. So they can say anything under the sun. They can talk about Michael Jackson, they can talk about the tree is green, the sun is round, the earth is round. You can say all these things, very factual, very true, but doesn't help you in any way. That doesn't help you in the spiritual path. So that's just an example. So the whole idea is, as long as we are channeling the energy inefficiently, there's no purpose in mind, then that is part of idle chatter. So same with harsh speech. A person can be telling the truth, but we can say it in a more friendlier manner, a more affectionate manner. So that is practicing refraining from harsh speech. Right? So if a person say harsh, they need to come with a mind of anger. And if your mind is anger, full of anger, then the mind is already agitated. You can't find peace. So that's the issue. Then afterwards, you say already, even though it's the truth, then you find the person upset, then you feel guilty or you feel remorseful. Then end up the mind cannot even settle, right? So that's the worst part. Okay, then the next one is this divisive speech. So we try to so-called keep people united, harmonious, not to divide communities, refrain from drugs and intoxicants. So definitely no liquor. Any form of medication is okay for medical reasons, is all right. No abusing of drugs or drug substances. Yeah, so that's the idea. Anyone on medication here? Nobody? Earlier on somebody was mentioning only one person. Okay, so yeah. So the so this comes to the next rule. I undertake training rule to abstain from eating at improper times. Okay, so the rule is we can eat from daybreak, that means when you see the sunrise, to noontime. So that's the allowable time to eat. Sometimes people give plus minus 1 hour. If let's say you're traveling or whatever reasons, plus minus 1 hour. And for those taking medication, after 12, there's actually allowables. And because you're staying in like so-called monastic kind of setting, the monks have rules pertaining what is food and what is not food. So again, that is ancient Indian classification. Certain things can be considered medicine, like certain aloe vera, those pieces they're considered medicine. Fruit juice without the pulp, without those flesh, without the solid substances is allowed. Certain kinds of fruit is considered medicine, like prunes are considered medicine, that means allowable to eat in the afternoon. Honey, sugar, molasses, butter, ghee, all these are allowed in the afternoon. Chocolate, chocolate is allowed. Cheese, Thai tradition they say cheese is allowed. So that is like some of the rough, kind of common, so-called allowable medicines. So they call it medicine for a reason, because there must be an illness before you can take the medicine. Some people no issue at all, then the whole day just munching and munching, right? Whole day munching and munching, all the cheese and the chocolate, munch and munch. Then if you overeat, then it becomes an illness. And some people in the monastery or stay in the monastery for a long time, they can tell you they eat one meal a day or they do fasting, but the whole afternoon and evening they're munching and munching and munching. Then they have these diabetes or these all kinds of illnesses. So there's it's called medicine for a reason. So before you consume anything, even for the meal, the main meal, the 7:30 and the 11:30 one, also do a reflection. We eat to sustain ourselves, to allay the hunger. We don't eat for fun, not for entertainment, not for the nice taste, not for beauty, not to make ourselves look stronger, but just to overcome the hunger, so that we have enough strength to practice, enough strength to cultivate. So same with the medicine. The medicine is to overcome illness. So that's the function. And the next rule is the long chant. Okay, so this one's got to do with no entertainment, no singing, dancing, watching shows, and the wearing of ornaments, jewelry, no perfumes, no makeup, no cosmetics, right? Okay, so that's the idea. So if you observe this precept, it will save you lots of money. And interestingly, for the Sigala Sutta, the Buddha's advice to a layperson, even if they're observing 5 precepts, one of the vices is to overindulge in entertainment. If a person addicted to entertainment, they need to spend money for finer entertainment. Then the hormones will get tolerance to the enjoyment already. Then you want finer enjoyment, then you spend more money for the enjoyment. So you're wasting your wealth. So that's the Buddha's explanation. So anyway, if you can learn to find another source of happiness outside of entertainment, then good for you. You'll be wealthy, not externally but internally, internal wealth. Okay, then the next one. Abstain from large beds and high seats and so on. So this is for simplicity, to live simple sort of lifestyle, not too luxurious. Alright, so that's more or less about the rules. Any questions regarding this? Okay, so whenever we are sort of like moving around, as long as you are mindful of these precepts, it is also part of meditation. If we do something, cannot do something wrong. So we walk, must be careful, everything must be careful. So it's part of meditation. We call this Silanusati, mindfulness of the precepts. So this is actually a meditation also. And to add on to that, we must balance, because any kind of meditation can go sengek one, can go wrong, can go extreme. Like some people become too regimental, no, too fearful. Everything don't want to do, commit wrong. Then the mind is not like set free. The mind is like as though kind of encaged. A lot of like fear and a lot of what. So we need sometimes other kinds of reflections, another kind of meditation to make the mind more balanced. Make the mind more balanced. So we have these other kinds of meditation practices like loving kindness and so on. And like all my retreats, I always mention the practice is not just sitting. And the practice is not just sitting. We are not training the posture. We are not training the posture. We are not Buddha statue. We cannot sit for 24 hours. Yeah, we cannot sit for 24 hours, 24/7. We need to move around. So even when moving, can we still practice? Right? Some people do not know that, or some people do not know other forms of meditation other than sitting. So once they get up from sitting, then they tell you cannot meditate. Or when they're busy with work, then they tell you no time to meditate. But actually, every moment, as long as we still have the mind, then that is meditation. We are not training the body, we are not training the sitting. Right? A person can sit very nice, like a magazine cover kind of pose, but if the mind is daydreaming, the mind is sleeping, or the mind is worrying, cursing and swearing, then that's not meditation. Right? So there is proper like technique, proper skill. You need to reflect on something, you need to contemplate on something, and that is part of the Noble Eightfold Path. You need to have the right thought, right effort, so on and so forth. Alright? Okay, so any questions with regard to the precepts before I carry on? No issues, all okay? Everything fine? Okay, then we move on to guided meditation. Okay, so to introduce you to meditation like earlier on, it's not about the posture, but for formal lesson, sometimes it's not nice to you be walking around, right? So if you are seated, how to sit in a way that you do not injure yourself. So there are certain postures or advisable postures to take up to prevent injuries. Certain posture you sit too long can get yourself injured. So we prevent all the backache or whatever ache. But of course, any posture, no matter how correct, for too long, will also have problem. We feel painful. Pain definitely have. You lie down for too long, also pain. So pain will definitely have. So the whole idea is to make it manageable. The whole idea is not to aim for long sitting. Long sitting is condition, is part of conditioning. It's just like, I don't know, athletes who go for jogging or running. The first time they run, maybe they can run one round the stadium. The more they run, the more they practice, then next time 2 rounds, 3 rounds, and so on. So it's conditioning. So for long sitting, you need the flesh need to harden, the skin need to harden, your nervous system need to become less sensitive, the bones are hardened, and so on. So requires time. So please do not aim for long sitting like the first time. The whole idea is aim for the right technique. What kind of thinking, what kind of contemplation we are going to do for every moment. So that is more important. So that's the takeaway. Because if you go back, okay, who are still not, or who are still working? Who is still working? Okay, who is retired already? Okay, unless you are retired, then you have all the time to meditate. If you are not retired, you need to work, then it's a bit hard to aim for long sitting. So you must learn a skill to meditate on the go. That means even while talking, even while eating, also can think correctly. Can have positive kind of reflection. Can make yourself happy and make yourself relax. So there are techniques. Okay, so this is the takeaway or your main focus. Learn this skill so they can apply even when sweeping the floor, cooking, whatever. You can still do it. So that's the whole idea. Okay, so first we are going to talk about sitting. So if you look at the Buddha posture, okay, normally I have PowerPoint slide to show, but now no PowerPoint. So we are going to imagine. Have you seen full lotus before? Full lotus posture. Full lotus posture is the both feet on top of both thigh, right? Both feet on top of both thigh. So if you can do it, then by all means, do full lotus. Because that's the most stable posture. All the feet is touching the ground. All the calf, the thigh, everything is touching the ground. Very stable. Very evenly distributed. Yeah, so that's for full lotus. But if you cannot do full lotus, then don't worry. Then like the statue, we have this 50% discount. We call this half lotus. Half lotus posture. So one foot on top of one thigh. One foot on top of one thigh. So to me, doesn't matter left over right or right over left. You just find one comfortable for you. But the disadvantage is you feel lopsided because one side touching the ground and one side is lifted up. Right? So that's for half lotus. And often you might need this extra sort of cushion. Okay, so the whole idea of the cushion is to keep your torso at least 90 degrees from your legs, from your thigh, 90 degrees or more. If you do not have, then you end up lesser than 90 degrees. Then you feel very cramped. Feel very cramped. Then your blood cannot circulate. So you might consider this. Again, everybody's body is different, so you must experiment for yourself, which is suitable for you. Okay, so that's for half lotus. And if let's say for half lotus you still cannot do, then we have more discount. We have this the Burmese style. We call it the quarter lotus. So it's 1 feet in front, 1 feet behind. So no crossing. 1 feet in front, 1 feet behind. Yeah, so you can try it if you want. So also all the feet touching the ground, you might need the extra backrest. So that's for the Burmese style. And if let's say you still cannot do it, then you sit the normal sitting. The both feet below, right? Yeah, both feet below. Yeah. So because you come and learn meditation, sometimes people will ask you, what style you sitting, what posture. Then you tell them, I sit normal posture. Then you feel a bit paiseh, right? Yeah? So you must give them a new name. I call this the full lotus inverted posture. May sound more cool. Full lotus is both feet on top. You sit normal, is both feet below. So it's full lotus inverted. Full lotus, tobalik. Yeah, so you call this full lotus inverted. And people think, wow, what kind of yoga pose is this? Right? So you use full lotus inverted posture. Okay, so the whole idea is to find a comfortable base. If let's say you cannot sit on the floor for long, then don't worry, you have chairs. Sit on the chair. The whole idea is to find a stable posture. And once you're done with the feet, then you can look upwards, look at the lower spine, check the lower spine, make sure it's like, if possible, you can tilt forward, maybe 1 degree or half a degree forward, so that the rest of the body will be naturally upright. You don't need a lot of muscles to keep your body upright. You just tilt a bit and it's a bit effortless. Use the normal center of gravity, center of gravity to keep the body upright. So you find your angle. Once you're able to find that, who cannot find? All can find. Okay, just play around. Tilt forward, backward, and see which one is most effortless. Okay, then we go to the shoulders. So shoulders normally is affected by hand posture. Yeah, so you can be recommended to do this like the Buddha, like the called the Samadhi kind of posture. Both both hands on the thighs, or you can put your hands on your kneecap, it's okay. So do not strain. Sometimes you see Buddha statues touching the ground, you want to touch also, then you strain your shoulder. Yeah, so we try not to strain, make sure the shoulders are relaxed. And for the neck, if you want, you can like tuck in your chin a bit. So you kind of lengthen the spine or pull the spine. Yeah. And for some people who, let's say, have a lot of salivate a lot, if you want, you can touch your upper tip of the tongue above your upper palate. That means behind your upper row of teeth. So this will like create like a dam to block off the saliva. So that's like a few pointers, a few tips. And for the eyes, if possible, if you have nothing to do, gaze downwards. Gaze downwards. You see the Buddha statue, he always gaze downwards. You don't see the Buddha look like this one. Look like this. Yeah, look like this. So the Buddha is always gaze downwards. Because once you look far and wide, then the mind easily scatter. Wow, this thing colorful, that thing nice shape. So the mind scatter. So the whole idea is to make the mind more collected. It's not to purposely fixate on one small point. No, it's gentle gazing. Gentle gazing. No need to fixate on one small point. Gentle gazing, like 45-degree downwards, gentle, relax. Relax, gentle gazing. Okay, so that's the sitting posture. Okay, so posture-wise, should be quite okay. Who have not done walking meditation before? Okay, so later then we teach walking. Okay, so now we have the physical setup. So now we're going to talk about mind. What are we going to do in the mind? What's the inner program? External setup is a temporary thing because you usually change posture somewhere. So what are we going to do with the mind? So that's the most important thing. Right? So before we go on, maybe you want to do a bit of stretching first. You can stand up, you can do a bit of stretching, then we sit down. If not, you might find it too long. Okay, everyone back. Okay, so we are going to start the guided meditation session. Because today also coincide with the 24-hour metta program. Who haven't heard before this 24-hour metta? Okay, so there's this, you all know Bante Mahinda? Bante Mahinda. So he started this metta around the world and this 24-hour metta initiative. So the whole idea is to practice loving kindness. Yeah, so there's this particular day, probably today and tomorrow, some organizations can collaborate. That means each organization can either chant or meditate for 1 hour with loving kindness, and they rotate. So it's like a 24-hour chain. It's like continuously for 24 hours. So one organization take 1 hour, another organization take 1 hour, and so on. So we sort of like informally take part by practicing this loving kindness. So this morning, some of the participants already did a bit of this loving kindness. Okay, so we are going to do more or less the same routine, and the practice is to cultivate our hearts. Yeah. Okay, so loving kindness, the Pali is metta, and we start off by make sure our physical posture is comfortable. And we are going to mentally tune and relax also. So how to reflect? If we were to sit there and think of nothing, then that is as good as preparing to go and sleep. Some people think, oh, meditation is sit there and do nothing. So that's what we do before we sleep, right? We just lie down and do nothing, then we sleep. So we are not going to do nothing. So we have things to do. So we are going to first look out for the sensations of the body. Observe the sensations of the body. So there's a technical term for it. It's called the mindfulness of the 4 elements. Earth, fire, wind and water elements. So nothing mystical about them. Earth element represents any hard or soft sensation. So if you feel any stiffness, any tension, any hard or soft sensation, that is called earth element. Earth element. Fire element represents the temperature, hot and cold. Wind element represents any kind of movement. Can be your breathing, can be your heart circulation, whatever it is. Any kind of movement at all, that's called wind element. And water element represents moisture, moist or dry sensations. So the whole idea is we are learning to make peace with these sensations. We are not going to control them. We are not going to fight or resist them. So how to do that? We're going to wish them well and happy. Anytime you detect a sensation appearing, then you wish them well and happy. And they are not yours, they come and go. So you treat them as visitors. They come, they wish them well and happy. Then if a new sensation appears again, wish them well and happy. So we are making peace with whatever the universe throws at us. So this evidence, these sensations, we call this mindfulness of the body. And the labeling, the thoughts, wishing them well and happy, it's part of right thought. And the repetition, when we keep repeating, wishing them well and happy, that is part of right effort. You want to cultivate skillful qualities, wish them well and happy, instead of drifting away. Because once we stop thinking only, once we stop reflecting, then the mind will just follow your stray thoughts. So you don't want that to happen. Always intentional, right thoughts, intentional, right thoughts. And whatever feeling that appear, mindfulness of feeling. Sometimes these elements can be painful, sometimes can be unpleasant, very uncomfortable, sometimes very nice, very comfortable. So whatever feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, also wish them well and happy. So you make peace with them. Do not fight, no struggling, no controlling. Do not purposely create those sensations. Let them arise naturally by themselves. And then you can observe, is the mind getting calmer or getting more tense? If the mind is getting calmer, means you're on the right track. And if, let's say, the more you practice, the more anxiety, more tension and more stress, that means something is wrong. Normally it's got to do with the understanding, right view. Right view means to overcome greed and craving. understand the Four Noble Truths. So if a person doesn't have right view, they are aiming for something, they want to achieve, maybe learn how to fly, learn all kinds of funny things, they have all kinds of expectations, then that will create unnecessary stress and tension, craving. So if you're applying right thoughts, wish all sensations well and happy. Okay, so the more you wish these sensations well and happy, the mind will keep settling down. So the settling of this mind is called reducing this craving. So the theme of this retreat is called Against the Stream. So the stream is metaphorical for craving, the stream of craving. So our craving flows in one direction. If we grasp onto something, we cling onto something, we are chasing something, that's the direction of craving, the stream of craving. But if we learn to reduce this craving, we are going against the stream. So craving comes in three forms: greed, hatred, and delusion. So now we are learning to reduce this craving of aversion, anger. And you can observe how far can this mind settle down. So this craving will manifest in a form of tension, a kind of mental energy, tension, stress and tension. So this stress and tension will settle or fade away to a certain spot or certain stable location, just like sedimentation of water and sand. So the sand will settle down to somewhere. And for now, we take note of this emotion, very important. We call this the baseline emotion. We use this to compare with other mind states, because other states of mind will have different emotions. So for this baseline emotion, no concentration, no wisdom, no nothing. So this is the baseline emotion. Usually very bland, nothing unique at this point. Okay, so now we are going to cultivate this boundless loving kindness. We are going to wish all beings in all directions well and happy, above, below, and all across, all directions, in front, behind, left, right. So there's no need to push or strain the mind. We let the mind extend naturally by itself. However far you wish to extend doesn't matter. Whole idea is make it a gentle wish and let the mind expand naturally. And in this wider sphere of attention, whatever sensations you detect, we are going to wish all beings well and happy. So we perceive all beings as the elements and the sensations. All beings are made of these elements, the lowest common denominator. So this is the non-discriminative approach to perceive all beings. And we try not to visualize. There's no way to visualize all beings. Because once we start to picture a certain group of beings, then the mind will start to stereotype certain past emotion or memory connected to that experience. Or you find this certain animal very cute lah, or this animal very fearful lah. So we try not to have that. We practice boundless loving kindness, all beings. Any sensation appear, may all beings be well and happy. So the same three main ingredients, right thought, may all beings be well and happy. And the evidence, the sensations, right mindfulness. And the repetition, call this right effort. So keep repeating, may all beings be well and happy. So the whole idea is repetition, evidence, the sensations, keep on labeling right thought, may all beings be well and happy. Try not to over-dramatize, no story, no movie, no dramas. Sensations and wishing all beings well and happy. Any distraction, just ignore, treat them as byproduct or passing distractions. Emphasis is on the wishing all beings well and happy. Okay, if all the conditions are right, you have the right thought, right effort and everything, one may trigger this thing called right concentration. So for loving kindness, usually it will enter this first level of concentration, denoted by the emotion of joy, happiness. So if there's an increment of joy and happiness compared to the baseline emotion, and that will indicate the first level of concentration. So regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing all beings well and happy. Treat everything else as byproduct. Do not cling on to the peaceful or whatever sensation are there. Huh? No matter how nice, how calm, how happy, treat them as byproduct. Keep on rowing the boat against the stream. Keep on generating right thought. May all beings be well and happy. Once you stop only, then the currents will just drag your boat to somewhere else. Huh? So earlier on we talked about 3 kinds of craving: greed, hatred, delusion. So greed will be craving for sensuality, all those stray thoughts we have, anything got to do with fantasy, worry. So that's craving for sensuality. And there's craving for becoming. Any concentrated state you want to stay there forever, then that is another kind of craving. And craving for non-becoming. You want to get rid, you want to destroy, that's aversion. Anything unpleasant you don't want. So these are the 3 kinds of craving we are avoiding. So the only way to avoid is to tread the middle path, keep on generating right thought, may all beings be well and happy. Okay, and now we're going to add some wisdom, some insight into the practice. We are going to cultivate a more unconditional loving kindness, and we're going to reflect on impermanence. So all beings are subject to birth and decay. So we're going to use the evidence as sensations, observe these sensations, how they arise and pass away. And for the labeling, we're going to label impermanence, or any word associated with impermanence. You can use change, anicca, inconstancy, and whatever word you prefer. And we keep repeating. So impermanence is used to overcome greed and attachment. So if there is like real detachment taking place, there should be like a sudden surge of joy arising temporarily. And we just treat them as byproduct, keep on reflecting on impermanence. Okay, if that joyful or happy emotions start to disappear, usually one will experience this neutral and maybe alert or refreshing kind of experience, and we call that equanimity, normally associated with the fourth level of concentration. So we just know it's there, but there's no need to cling on to any of those experiences. So keep rowing the boat, keep on reflecting on impermanence, treat everything else as passing scenery. No need to row your boat and langa into the scenery. Okay, so all these states of mind, no matter concentration or not, they are impermanent. Once we change the causes, then it will change as well. So the next sublime state is compassion. So compassion is to overcome cruelty, and we are going to wish all beings may they be free from suffering. So using the same non-discriminative approach, no need to visualize all beings regardless of their health status, they're healthy or sick, their financial status, they're rich or poor. As long as they cling onto the five aggregates, they cling onto the elements, they cling onto the sensations, then that will result in stress and suffering. So whatever sensation that appear, we are going to wish all beings free from suffering. So please, no dramas. Once you start to imagine or visualize how to help this person, how to worry and plan how to help this person, then the mind will go into the story and create more series and more dramas. Then that itself is samsara. Unnecessary restlessness and worry. So whatever sensation appear, we ourselves do not get dragged into the suffering. So we are going to wish all beings free from suffering. new sensation appear. May all beings be free from suffering. Okay, if let's say all the conditions are right again, you have the right thought, right effort, and this time the compassion may feel joyful, happy or joyful kind of emotion. So we call this the concentrative kind of compassion, normally associated with the second level of concentration. So the mundane kind of compassion where we sort of worry and try to plan and how to help others. So that is very draining, a draining kind of compassion. And now we are recharging, we are not draining. So for the conventional kind of compassion, it's like very sad, sorrowful kind of emotion. And if a person do that for too long, and one may get into depression. And we call that one kind of extreme. You don't see the Buddha or the Bodhisattvas get into depression. Or you don't see their images pulling a long face. Okay, so regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing all beings free from suffering. Okay, then now we're going to add some insight, some wisdom into the practice, and we're going to reflect how to overcome this suffering, that is to not cling onto these elements or these aggregates. So we're going to use impermanence to shake this clinging off. So the same thing, we're going to observe the sensations, how they arise and pass away, and we keep labeling impermanence, and we keep repeating. Okay, let's say the happy and joyful emotions start to fade away. Usually this time round, one may experience a blank or spacious kind of experience, and we call that the perception of infinite space. So that is another kind of concentration. And regardless of what you experience, treat everything else as passing scenery, byproduct. Keep on reflecting on impermanence, and do not get lost in space. Even concentrative states are part of the 5 clinging aggregates. So we are not rejecting, we are not clinging. We just know it's there, but we keep rowing the boat and go against the stream. Keep reflecting on impermanence. Okay, then we are moving on to the 3rd sublime state, which is this appreciative joy. So for appreciative joy, we're going to rejoice in the accomplishments of all beings, and using the non-discriminative approach, all beings, regardless of winners or losers, whether they gain something or lose something, along this process, every time they'll gain a new experience. So similarly, whatever sensation we detect, we are also gaining a new experience. So when we detect something, then we rejoice with all beings. New sensation appear, rejoice with all beings. If the mind is quite settled down, all the conditions are right, then this appreciative joy may lead to the third level of concentration. The emotion associated with it is happiness. So it's a different kind of pleasant emotion compared to the first two sublime states. And regardless of what you experience, keep on rejoicing with all beings. Okay, now we're going to add some insight, some wisdom. We're going to reflect that all beings will eventually be separated from what they have achieved. So all these sensations, likewise, they don't stay with us 24/7, they come and go every moment. So we keep observing and reflecting on impermanence. Everything is impermanent, huh? Keep reflecting on impermanence. If the same joyful, happy emotions start to disappear, instead of experiencing blankness like before, this time around it's a sense of fullness, yeah? As though the sense of self has merged or fused with the entire surroundings. And call this the perception of infinite consciousness. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reflecting on impermanence, treat everything else as byproduct. Okay, then we're going to switch to the fourth sublime state called equanimity. And for equanimity, it's to keep the mind balanced or unaffected by ups and downs. And normally we're going to use the reflection of karma to achieve this equanimity. So all beings are the subjects or the owners of their karma. And for this routine, there's no need to speculate or guess what we've done in the past. We just observe all the real-time evidence, any pleasant, any good experiences appearing, then that's due to good karmas ripening. Any unpleasant, any bad experiences appearing, then that's due to bad karmas ripening. Any neutral sensation, then neutral karmas ripening. So in short, every moment we are conditioned by karma. So if the mind is more accepting towards karma, and one may experience this equanimity again, this same neutral and refreshing experience, similar to the the one with loving kindness and impermanence. So that's the fourth level of concentration. So the practice of equanimity will lead to equanimity. And regardless of what you experience, keep on reflecting on karma. Even concentrated states are part of producing karma. Okay, and now we're going to add some insight, and we're going to reflect how to transcend, how to overcome this karma. Every time good karma ripen, good feeling, we feel happy, bad feeling, feel sad. So always like this mood swing. So to have a more balanced mind or transcendental balanced mind, then we can reflect on impermanence of all feelings. All feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, we observe how they arise and pass away. Okay, let's say all the happiness and joy start to fade away again. This time round, one may experience a new kind of blankness, and they call this the perception of nothingness. So no matter how nothing, there's still something, right? It's still part of perception. Keep on reflecting on impermanence. And if you find it too quiet, you can engage in reflecting on the 5 aggregates. So the karma, we call this karmic formations. Why does the mind want to choose to pay attention to this nice feeling or this unpleasant feeling? So it's called karma ripening. So it's the same as karmic formation, same as mental formation. So that's the 4th aggregate. The awareness, the attention to the detail, that is the consciousness aggregate. So we can be aware through our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind. And the 4 elements, earth, fire, wind, water, that's the form aggregate, the first aggregate. And the feelings, whether you find it pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant, that's the 2nd aggregate, feeling aggregate. And the 3rd aggregate is called perception. You call this pleasant, you call this unpleasant, you call this earth, you call this a fire. All the labels, all the jargons is called perception, perception aggregate. So they're actually 5 in 1, and we just basically wherever our attention is at, or whatever strongest stimuli of any of the senses, then we can use that as a reflection. So there's no need to fixate at any point. Just keep remembering right thought, impermanence, and right effort. Okay, so before we conclude the formal sitting, I'm going to use the gentle reminder from the Karaniya Metta Sutta. That is, if a person is always mindful of this boundless, sublime state, whether they are sitting, standing, walking, or lying down, then this is the noblest living. And with that, we can gently open our eyes. So even though we are not like formally sitting, the mind still can think of impermanence, still can think of loving kindness, think of any of the wholesome reflections.